So team selection. So there are 8 players on a Ficheall team, not 7, not 9, 8 players on a Ficheall team, as opposed to the traditional 4 players or 5 players in some competitions. Previously, we have 8 players. There's 8 pawns on a board, and we have 8 players on a Ficheall team to emphasize that point as well. It also works nicely with 4 teams being 32. So that's the 32. There are 2 sections, Masters section and the Bud section. Some new schools tend to get confused with this, thinking that the Masters section is for, really good players, and the Bud section, that's Buds is kind of short for budding masters, and that's short for some kind of players who are just beginning. That's not the case. So the Buds team is generally 4th class and below. The Masters team are generally 5th and 6th class, but Masters teams can involve any student from any classroom, really. So some smaller schools will only end up entering one team, one Masters team, but they might have people from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th class, and that's fine. But you cannot enter 5th and 6th class people into the Bud section, okay? So it's based on class level. So making the teams in school chess competitions are a good place to start, and I know some schools who will solely decide who gets in the chess team based on who finishes in the top 8 or the top 16 or top 24 of a chess competition. And that's fine. That's one way of doing it. The alternative approach is if I run a lunchtime chess league and I might have 40 players enter the chess league, I can only bring 32 players. Someone has to be left. I can only bring 32 players to the tournament. What I would ordinarily do is look at the results and see who's really into their chess, who's really thriving on chess, and look at the top maybe 10 players initially and decide, okay, they're definitely going to be going to the Féile Fichille event. But from there, a lot of other players might be, maybe I'm only bringing 24 players. So out of 40, I'm leaving 16 at home. So from the next 20 players, there's probably a lot of players there who have a similar ability, but, are coming at chess from a different point of view. So what I would ordinarily do is give that opportunity to represent the school to children who don't ordinarily get it, or some children who, teachers recognize this will be great for them. This is their thing, and they don't have too many maybe other things in school to call their own, and they're on the chess team. And that kind of, I suppose, ethos within Ficheall is very popular. But it's up to you at the end of the day how you decide who you put on the chess team. For anyone who is really stuck on who to put on the chess team, I would always default to maybe the oldest in the school gets to go ahead of some of the younger pupils, so that as the years move on, everyone maybe aspires, to be on that chess team in 5th and 6th class, possibly, if they're interested in it, rather than giving the place to maybe a 3rd and 4th class pupil when there's a 5th and 6th class pupil who's really interested in it. As I said before, decide and submit approximately 3 weeks in advance. So what that allows you to do then is for those maybe 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, whatever the bridging kind of time is between when you submit the names, the deadline for submission, and the actual tournament itself. What you do then is those 8 players, you just create space and time for them. It could be, at lunchtime, it could be an hour on a Friday. Find some time for those players to actually meet and share their practice. And this is when the team chess really comes into its own, because they are no longer competing against one another now. If their team wants to do well at the event, they'll have to improve each other's game. So they'll start sharing openings and they'll start sharing little tricks and tips. And that's when you get a really nice sense of community within that team of 8 players. And you get children, teaching each other different moves and different strategies. And then for the children who aren't on the chess team because of the limit on numbers, what I would suggest is create alternative events that they can do. So what I've done in the past is maybe make an Easter chess competition where some of the people who went to the Féile Fichille, they actually come back and they help you run the maybe an event in your school hall or in your school general purpose room or in your classroom. They help you run a Féile Fichille type event for everyone else in the school. So they become your result arbiters and your result gatherers and your result processors and so on. And they run the event because they have that experience also. Also, you could go to the Ficheall map, organize a chess afternoon with another school locally to give those students who are really interested in chess and would have loved to go to the Féile Fichille to give them the opportunity to play against children from other schools. But the Féile in itself is slightly different in that it's just so many pupils playing chess at one time. Children love attending that as well. Team names I mentioned already. So I suggest handing it totally over to team members to decide the team name. That requires a little bit of extra organization on your part as the Féile coordinator or the teacher looking after them. In that, when you pick the team, the 8 players, you want to allow a day or two in advance of the deadline to pick the team, so that you give those 8 players a chance to actually decide their own team name, and make it as creative as possible. And then when you're submitting the team names, you submit the first and the surname of the player, along with the team name as part of that Google form. Okay, and I mentioned before, graded team names like St. Patrick's A or St. Patrick's first team aren't accepted. We'll actually change the name if we see some of those ones coming in. Team colours. So the tradition I mentioned earlier on is to give students the opportunity to represent the school in chess. So school jerseys, if you have them, or general school colours are great. They make for great photos, but also that added benefit of children who don't ordinarily get to wear that jersey. They now have that opportunity to represent the school in chess.